going to bring Ivan Lasa up next. Ivan is going to be talking to us about new product approval. After a distinguished career at the Florida DOT, Ivan jumped over to the dark side, went with the evil empire there, GPI, where he is a senior bridge consultant. So he is going to make a presentation related to new product approval.
Like John just mentioned, I did spend quite a bit of time with Florida DOT at the materials office of the department. And one of the things that I was doing during my tenure there was actually looking at new technologies, new materials, testing them, see if they were of use to the department. And not only that, something that is kind of important is transferring that new technology over to our routine users. Make that technology transfer from new product to a routine product that we use everywhere. Let's talk first about the importance of new products for DOTs. And by the way, I want to apologize. My presentations are typically black and white. I like to go straight to the point, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to put any makeup on mine. So now, having said that, being just black and white is a lot easier to pick up on misspells and grammar errors, so give me a break too on that one, okay? Importance of new products. Well, we need to think about that. There is many reasons why we should be looking at new products. Of course, the first one, it could be better than the traditional products that we use. So we need to look into that. New product may accelerate the construction process. It might reduce project and maintenance cost. And it might increase the actual durability of the bridge or a particular bridge component. New products might be necessary in order to meet new standards. Actually, and that is very important for DOTs. I still remember when we were using lead paints. Now, suddenly, that was a no-no, and we needed new products in order because our steel girders were still rusting and failing, so new products were needed. And it was very important that at the time, DOTs had an open mind because they had a big need, and we had several manufacturers that stepped up to the plate. And working along with manufacturers, that issue was of concern perhaps for a year. Later on, everything was taken care of. New products might be necessary to accommodate some regional needs, some shortage on some products. 2 years ago, after we thought that we have our 75 design life requirements for our bridges using particular concrete covers and particular concrete mixes, most of these mixes were based on fly ash, and then we ran into a shortage of fly ash. We didn't have sufficient materials, sufficient fly ash, to be able to provide all the concrete that we needed with those characteristics. So every now and then, new products sometimes are needed because a particular need at the moment, but other times it is just because, well, it might reduce the cost of the project. But these new products, we need to remember that new products, we don't know it yet, but they may be the key ingredient to enhance the overall quality of the project or our component. In our case, we're talking about bridges. We need to be very open-minded when new projects are presented to us. New materials are presented to us. And overall, hey, we need to embrace emerging technologies. Can you imagine if nobody have embraced a microwave oven back in the 80s or 70s? Not only that, what we're doing right now, You know, when I started working with a department, we were making this presentation using transparencies mounted on a reel over a projector, and nobody does that anymore. You know, if I haven't embraced this type of technology, I will not be presenting here. New products. For DOTs, typically we divide the new products in three major categories. We have the traffic systems, we have the roadway systems, and we have the bridge systems. Now, within all those three main categories, we also have some subcategories. We can have a standalone manufactured products. Those are products such as deck sealer. It's a product that is manufactured, we apply on the deck, and we can immediately go and see if they perform what they claim it was going to perform. You know, just the product by itself is going to give us a direct result that we can evaluate. Now we have, secondly, we have the fabricated products. Those will be products such as sign structures, mast arms, that we need to make sure that they are safe, they are good quality, but when we approve those products, we are approving the product and the fabricator. When we approve a fabricator, normally it's for the particular product. You know, so a fabricator might be approved for mast arms, but they cannot build a sign structure. So those are the kind of distinctions between some of the products. Another type of product that we might be looking at are products which are component of other products, other main products. And in that category, we're talking about concrete admixtures that are corrosion inhibiting. These are products that are basically combined with other products. So in order to measure their performance, we're going to be looking at the final product, not at this product by itself. You know, because it has to be compatible with the rest of the ingredients of the mix, and at the same time, it needs to increase the final product, the final mix. And the last category that I added here are digital products. Those are new. 10 years ago, we were not, we're looking into those. Those are products such as software to control a movable bridge, a bascule. It has to be incorporated into the equipment that they have, and it has to be maintained, and it has to provide all the necessary tools for the operator to manage the bascule movement. Another one, and we are all going to be working into this one here, in this category, is the most commonly called bridge health monitoring system. Now, every time somebody builds a new bridge, which has significant complexity, they are calling for a health monitoring system on the bridge. Those are going to be very difficult to evaluate because all depends on the type of bridge, the complexities of this bridge, and not only that, each DOT will have to look into how are we going to run this, because you have a system that is spitting out 1,000 data points a day. You need to have somebody that looks into all that data. Now they are developing flags. Okay, if we reach this value, we will send a message to the bridge office. So all those things are going to be coming up, but these digital products is something new. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, in all honesty, I don't have too much experience. Now they are talking about smart bridges, and in my opinion, in order to identify where each sensor is going to go, if we can do that in order to predict a failure, these are not going to be smart bridges. They're going to be genius bridges, you know. But anyhow, that is something that is a product that is becoming very popular. And in the future, you guys, especially the younger people here, are going to be dealing with that quite a bit. Having said that, what are some of the basics to develop a procedure for evaluation of new products or products in general for use by DOTs? Well, on a traditional product, most of the time, that is no problem. Why? Because most of the time, if we have been using, we already have a specification written for the product. And if somebody comes over with a new product that meets that category, all we have to ask them is, did you read my specification? Does your product meet that specification? They are supposed to provide some independent test results. We can review them. If they meet the specification, it will be a good product. Now, we might select to do some testing of our own, in our own laboratories. And, but that will depend on the product and on the claims. Because sometimes we have the same products that claim that do better than the others, and we still might want to evaluate that. How true is that statement? When we're talking about new products, these are products that we have never dealt with before. Prior to the evaluation, we need to have some considerations. First, are there any specific specifications available for this product? I know that we don't have any because we have never used the product. It's a new product for us. But has other DOTs have been using or testing this product? If they are not, we are the first ones. We want to know. Sometimes that is good. Sometimes might not be all that good. The second one is very important. Is the product needed? Do we actually need this product? After they told us everything that product does, we need to figure out, do we need this? A good example, penetrant sealer to use in new structures. That sounds fantastic, but with the concrete that we use nowadays, in order to get on our aggressive environments, those concretes are so dense that a penetrating sealer will not penetrate the concrete, the surface of the concrete. So, is the product is it a bad product? Perhaps not. But do we need the particular product? Something else that we need to consider: will it provide an added benefit to the department, one way or the other? If the answer is yes, it will be very worth it to look at it. How will this project impact project on maintenance costs? That's important. How much money do I have to spend in order to use this product? Now, if it is something reasonable for what they claim we're going to be doing, that's perfect. I'm not saying that it necessarily have to reduce costs. Sometimes it increases the cost, but then you have to add the cost increase versus the added benefits. When we do look into that, if it seems that it is reasonable, let's go on and take a look at a closer look at this material. Any impact to the public? What I'm talking about is materials. Example: materials to repair expansion joints nosing. Back in Florida, our ADTs are so high that most of this work is done at night, and we have time windows to replace that armor joints and get the new concrete material to cure so we can open to traffic. Now, if you come to me with a new pre-packed material specifically designed for that, it will be stronger than anything else that we will be using, and it will be more durable than anything else that we are using. The only problem is that once we replace the joint and we put the new concrete, we have to wait 3 days before opening to traffic. That would be something to think about, because that means that we will have to have a lane closed, assuming that we can do it in phases and one lane at a time for 3 days. Are we allowed to do that? If the answer is no, well, might as well don't spend time with a product like that. You know, product have to give us a benefit, but also they need to be practical for use. The last one I have in here, the last bullet, how do we conduct QC and QA on any product? There have to be a way that we can provide our CEIs, our construction folks, take a look at this, let's do this test. That will give us some assurance that the product has been well installed. If there is no testing available for that, it would be very difficult to implement it as a routine product. It will be a little bit irresponsible from us, the department, to start implementing materials that we don't know how they're going to be performing. I don't have a problem believing a good salesperson, marketing person that comes over and tells me, believe me, we have already tested for 10 years, and it has done this. But I really cannot approve a material just based on what somebody told me like that. So those are things that we need to be looking at prior to start evaluation of a new product. Once we answer all that and we are satisfied with those initial questions, which will be part of the evaluation, but it's prior to the real evaluation, okay? Then the DOT will determine if the product provides a benefit and if it is really needed. That was the question, one of the questions that we had. The DOT will determine that. So any vendor that comes over and I know that we have some vendors in the audience, you know, be ready for that question. It is just that we need to determine that. And whoever is presenting the material or the product to the DOT, you know, needs to be ready to help the DOT answer those questions. Then the DOTs will review conformance with standards. So that's based on the formulations. You know, you need to tell me what is your product based. At least I know that we asked for some material. We asked, okay, what is the chemical composition of this material? Oh, that is proprietary. Yeah, I understand that, and I don't want to know that. Especially when I was working in Florida, because I don't know if all the states are like that. I don't think that all of them are like that. But in Florida, anything that goes to a government computer becomes public information. If you have a formulation, and you tell me, I'm going to send it to you, but understand that you cannot disclose this. I cannot even accept that, because at any time, somebody does a public information request regarding any particular product. Actually, all they submit is some keywords. I want an information request based on these keywords. They have to send everything that is on the computers to that person. You know, so, but you need to be ready to tell me. It is silicone-based, for example, doesn't have any solvents. That kind of stuff, something that is reasonable that I can use in order to justify looking at the product. Then, depending on the type of product, the DOT will determine which process is best for evaluation of the product. Of course, not all the products are going to be evaluated the same. You know, there are products to provide additional durability. There are other products designed to provide additional strength. There are other products designed to provide safety. So the DOT will have to determine, okay, how are we going to test this? Is there going to be some laboratory testing that is going to be needed, or are we going to need laboratory testing plus field testing? And that's very common. So based on how we're going to address that, the department will assign some technical experts people with experience in the particular field to facilitate or conduct the evaluation. And most of the departments have the right people, and departments that do not have the right people, they contract all the laboratories or all the people to do the evaluation for them. Yeah. Notice that a lot of time there are going to be multiple offices involved in the evaluation of a product. Now, if that is the case, the DOTs most of the time, if not, they should get somebody to take care of this. They should have one point of contact, one office or one person in which the manufacturer or the vendor can go to that person and say, what is the status of my product? It is still being considered, it is being evaluated, did it pass the test? All that information. There should be one person that responds to the manufacturer. From there, especially for our partners here from industry that want to propose some new materials, there is some general product information that will be necessary to provide to the DOTs for the DOTs to consider the product. Like I said, already mentioned, the formulation, the chemical composition, that is important. We need to know what we're putting on the bridge and make sure that we're not breaking any laws or any rules or anything like that. We need to know what it is. Shelf and service life, important to DOTs, especially if there is for a product that is going to be using during construction of a bridge or any structure. Reason for that, most of the DOTs on new projects, we pay stockpile materials. Many times, most of the contractors, because they put a markup on the product, and which is acceptable, they start ordering all the materials ahead of time. So they can invoice the DOT for those materials. They pay the vendor, and then they get their markup. However, remember, new construction, a new bridge, for example, it's going to take at least a year. At least a year. Now, if I'm paying for a material that have a shelf life of 1 year, and by the time I receive it, it was 6 months after manufacturing. After 6 months on the project, the material will not be usable. So what happens? Most of these projects, it might be a year before they are ready to apply this material on that. So we need to be careful on that. The manufacturer needs to provide the application procedures for the material, and they basically have to tell us how to use it. If it is something that needs some independent laboratory testing, they need to provide that, but need to make sure that it is independent, it is third-party testing. If don't come to me saying, well, my laboratory tested and they told me that it was really good. That's not gonna cut it. Product availability. This is a good one, especially with new products. Sometimes they bring you a really good product. You go through all the process of testing and approve it, and then when you specify, it's going to take 6 months it takes 6 months of production. Actually, I had a product. I was a new galvanizing concept for river. That once we did all the testing, representative told us, fantastic, because we were waiting for you guys to approve it, to open a plant to produce the river. How long is it going to take? Well, we're in the process of acquiring the property and all that. It was going to take 3 or 4 years. And we already went through all that process of evaluating and approving the product. Some of the materials that we have need some field testing. This one, for example, is evaluating of a sealer healer. And of course, you just put it over there. After that, you go and take some course, see how much penetration it had. The same thing with evaluating some of the new coatings. You can go and evaluate after that. Another good product that we did have to do some field evaluation was tendon impregnation technology. We were evaluating the technology and the material on that. So everything in the laboratory went very well, but then we had to take it out in the field. Once we do that, if it worked, it was, then we established a long-term monitoring program. We call that in Florida the follow-up investigations. Following that, if you get a good product, you develop a specification for that. And the final step, if the results are good, have the specification developed. Why do you develop a specification? It is a new product. You already know that this product with these particular characteristics work. So you don't want to be evaluating similar products again. Now, another manufacturer might come up with the same, then all you have to do is, does it meet my specification? And that's it. Most of the DOTs, they already have some guidance how to do that. These are some excerpts from one of the DOTs represented in this group. First of all, we need to determine if it is needed. Then we will assign subject matter experts. And don't worry that we were going to maintain everybody informed. Last thing that I have here to talk about, proprietary product. Remember, on DOT project, we cannot use this X product. We need to be kind of generic. So we can use and evaluate proprietary products, but we need to justify. And there are, I have here several instances in which it will need a justification. If we include the name of the product, or we assign a product that there is only one on the APL, and so forth, it will need a justification. But regardless, there are justifications for it. So with proper justification, new products can be used for evaluation purposes, and after that you write a spec and you use it. To conclude, I have a couple of conclusions here for FDOT. Be open to introduction of new products, set up a criteria for evaluation, evaluate short and long-term performance, assign staff with the proper knowledge, and when good results, immediately write the specification. The same thing, we have some conclusion for the vendors. Provide clear description of the advantages and limitations. Provide the necessary information of the product. Provide verifiable previous history. And the two last things in here. Sometimes field testing, sometimes some product requires some field testing. Is the manufacturer willing to provide some financial funding or support to do the field testing? Most of the time we work in conjunction, but we split the cost. And the last thing, indicate if the particular product will carry a warranty. That will be important, and what type of warranty. So, final note, not all the products are QPL candidates. However, that doesn't mean that they are not good products, all right?
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.